Welcome to this Angular 3D Circular Charts tutorial. With the Syncfusion Angular 3D Circular Charts, you can present the proportions of items within a group in stunning 3 dimensions. You can use pie and donut chart series to represent the data. In this video, you will see how to create an Angular app and add the Syncfusion Angular 3D Circular Charts component to it. You will also learn how to enable data labels, legends, and tooltips. Let me start with the application creation process. I'm going to create an Angular application by making use of the Angular CLI tool. I will use Visual Studio Code as my editor and show the output in the Chrome browser. To create a project in Angular, I open Visual Studio Code and install the Angular CLI using the command npm install -g at angular/CLI. I use the ng new project name command and name my project my Angular app. I am going to create a project with a CSS style sheet, so I choose the CSS option. The project creation has started. Now let me navigate to the project folder. To use the 3D Circular Charts component, I type the command npm install at syncfusion/ej2 Angular Charts -- save to install the charts package with its dependencies. The application is now ready to use. The first thing I must do here is register the trial license key to use Syncfusion components. So I open the main TS file and import the register license method from the Syncfusion ej2 base package. Using this method, I register the trial license key. For instructions on generating this license key, refer to the link in the description below. Now, the application is configured to use Syncfusion Angular components. Next, I navigate to the app component TS file and import the Circular Charts 3D module from the Syncfusion Angular Charts package. Then, I register it within the imports array of the component section. Now I will add the 3D Circular Charts component to the application. I open the app component HTML file and remove its default content first. I add a division element with style attribute to align the element. Then I add the EJS Circular Chart 3D tag. I want to display the number of gold medals by country in the chart. So I include the eCircular Chart 3D Series Collection tag, which receives n number of eCircular Chart 3D series tags. To define a single series, I add a single eCircular Chart 3D series tag. To create a data source, I define the chart data object with 2 fields, country and medals. Then I assign this object to the data source property. Map the country field to the xName property and map the medals field to the yName property. To render the metric as a pie series, I import the pie series 3D service module and register it in the providers array of the component section. To set the slope angle, I add the tilt property and set it to -45. Let me run the application using the command ngserve. See now, the 3D circular chart is rendered with the defined data source. By default, it is not possible to rotate the chart. To enable rotation, I simply set the Enable Rotation property to true. Looking here, I can rotate the 3D circular chart. Next, let's give the chart a title. To do that, I add the title property and set its value to Berlin 2023 Special Olympics gold medals. You can now see that the circular chart has a title. To make the chart more insightful, let's add data labels. First, I import the Circular Chart Data Label 3D Service module and register it into the Providers array. Then I define an object named dataLabel and enable the visible property. I assign this object to the dataLabel property. Notice that chart data labels are now visible. To customize the label position, I set the position property to outside. By default, it is set to inside. I map the country field to the name property. To customize the connector line, I add the connector style property and set the length to 50 pixels and width to 2. You can see the data labels on each of its data points. Next, I will show you how to add a legend to the chart. A legend provides more information about the series in the chart. First, I import the circular chart legend 3D service module and register it into the providers array. After that, I define an object named legend settings and enable the visible property. I assign this object to the legend settings property. Now the legend is displayed on the right side of the chart. You can change the legend's position to the top, bottom, or left. For example, just set the position property to bottom. And now the legend displays at the bottom of the chart. Now let's see how to enable a tooltip. First, I import the circular chart tooltip 3D service module and register it into the providers array. After that, I define an object named tooltip and set the enable property to true. I assign this object to the tooltip property of the chart. And now you can see that the tooltip appears for every data point in the chart. By default, tooltips show information about the X and Y values of data points. To change the appearance of this information, I set the format property with the X value in bold, followed by a line break. I display the string gold medals followed by the Y value in bold. Looking here, the tooltip shows the specified format. By default, the 3D pie chart radius is 80%. To change this, I set the radius property to 60%. You can see the chart is now rendered with a smaller radius. Next, let's render this as a 3D donut chart instead of a pie chart. To do that, I simply set the inner radius property to 40%. Now it's a donut chart. Let's summarize this video. I've shown you how to create an Angular app, add the Syncfusion Angular 3D circular charts component to it, and enable data labels, tooltips, and legends. If you want to try out the example used in this video, download it from that GitHub link in this video's description. I have also shared a link in the description to learn about obtaining a free license key to use our Angular components through our community license if you are eligible. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, please like and subscribe to our channel.